Welcome to the first ever Susquehanna JT Exchange podcast, where we are going to go over past weekend's meets. We'll preview future meets. It's basically an opportunity for us to show you, everyone at home, whether you're a potential student athlete, a current student athlete, alumni, a parent, to give you a better understanding of our program, why we do what we do, and how things are going. We just finished up with the first meet of the year this weekend with the Susquehanna Early Season Multi Invitational this past Saturday and Sunday, December 6th and 7th. I'm here with Coach Weir.
How we doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for joining us. And we're basically just going to go through the results, kind of show you or tell you how things went, and discuss what's going to happen over the next few weeks in December, and then, when we come back in January, what the plan's going to be. So, Coach Weir, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've recovered.
Yeah.
It was a long couple of days.
Yes, it was.
Getting back into the swing of things and hosting, it definitely a lot of things you got to remember and little things you forget, and just my feet always hurt.
Always.
But we got through it.
Yeah.
We started Saturday with the multi, specifically the women's pentathlon, men's heptathlon, and we had a couple pole vault competitions.
Yep.
So let's start with the women's pentathlon. Charlotte, she's a junior now, and she started off the day with a personal best in the hurdles.
Yes, she did.
Which was awesome. Then when we moved through, she attempted some jumps, some PR jumps in high jump as well, which is great. We haven't really had an opportunity to do a whole lot of training in the high jump specifically. And then, she continued to progress. I think overall she missed her PR by, I don't know, how much was it?
It was like 16 points, give or take.
And that's great, considering it's the beginning of December. We trained right through it pretty much for the most part. So she did great. I think she was just over 2,400 points. And we're excited to see where she goes. And then she also high jumped the next day. So she was able to jump in the open competition on Sunday. Moving over to the men. We started the day with 6 competitors for our program. 3 freshmen with Jaden, Gabe, and Liam. And then obviously our returners, Rowan, Charles, and Nico.
Yep.
So we started with a 60. What can you tell me about the heptathlon 60?
It was a little up and down. We're working on a lot of things with that group as a whole. The returners, they looked like they were feeling the last few weeks of training. They looked a little bit flat, but the first years looked really good. They ran some very good times for them. I think Jane and Liam and Gabe, really, they all ran a little bit quicker than I was expecting, so I was very happy to see that.
That's great. I think I was a little surprised. Not surprised, I guess, but, those 3 first years all ran in the 7.3s, I believe, or close to it, which is great for them. And then we moved on to long jump. Gabe LaGrossa, he's going to be a standout long jumper for us. This was his only multi that he will do. We informed him that after the fact, and he was very excited. So he's going to focus on, just the long jump and maybe some short sprints here and there. But he did well. I think he jumped. I'm trying to find it here on the results.
6:24.
I thought it was 6:30 something. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find it. So he'll continue to develop there. I know Jaden had some really good jumps. And then Liam also, he was a jumper in high school. He did well. Nico starting to figure it out. Rowan started off a little rough, but then, got into it.
Yeah.
I know Charles did tweak his knee in that, which comes back to him later on. He ended up having to stop because of the knee injury.
Yeah.
But then we get through that, and then high jump, also Gabe, Jaden had never high jumped before, so they're kind of just winging it. They both jumped, I think it was right around 160. And Liam, he was a high jumper in high school. He ended up going 178, which is great. Nico rolled his ankle. So
yeah, unfortunately, but if it's going to happen, this is when you want it to happen. They've got those couple weeks going into winter break where you can kind of recover a little bit and come back, hopefully not missing too much.
Yeah, I know he was, a little bummed about it, which I understand. He's trained a long time. Things were actually going pretty well for him. And, it happens. Injuries do occur. So he was done after that. And then we move on to the next day.
Yep.
Well, for the multis, but that same day we had a pole vault. You know?
Yes, we did.
One of the bright spots in pole vault was the first year Kendall Sims. You know, she took some shots at the school record in her very first collegiate meet.
Yeah, she made some very good attempts at her, that height.
You know, we're going to keep working with her, getting her on some bigger poles, getting comfortable with that. I know Sophia also jumped pretty well considering she was coming off of cross country. And then on the men's side, I think Hayden Durst, I think he's going to be, going to have a really bright future. I don't know exactly what any of them jumped, if I'm being honest. But I do know that, they had a good day. They were able to compete. I know one of our seniors, Thomas, he's dealing with a little bit of a nagging injury, so he wasn't able to go, but hopefully he can get healthy when we get going here in January. But let's move on to Sunday. We'll start with the women's sprints.
So we've got a relatively young group with our women's sprints, and there's definitely a lot of things that we're working on. Starting with the 60, we had a couple of decent performances. I would say probably one of the standouts would be Megan McDougall. She had a pretty decent PR in the 60. She took off, I think, about 0.2 of a second, give or take, off of her 60. So I was very happy to see that. Her start's starting to click for her. So that was very good to see. And then time wasn't quite there, but Kendall Sims made her 60-meter debut, her sprint debut. And she, for learning blocks the day before, and then not really knowing how to attack the sprints, I think she ran very well, and I think she's going to develop into one of our top short sprinters. So that was exciting to see.
Yeah, moving on to the 200, we've had, I think Nakaya ran fairly well for an indoor 200.
Yep.
Denicia came back, definitely room for improvement, I think, across the board in the women's too. And then Ashley Newman in the 400, I thought she opened the year really well.
Yep.
I think, she definitely has put in a lot of work. She has. She was named a captain this year.
Mm-hmm.
She's done a good job of leading by example. She long jumped this year for the first time.
Yes.
That was by her request.
She was wiki howing how to long jump the night before.
Yes. And she did fine.
Yep.
She got out there, she competed. I think she marked all of her jumps, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then moving on to the mid-distance group, we only had one of our women competed in the 800 with Gabby. Definitely, needs to continue to work hard. I know she had a little stressful, stressed herself out a little bit. So she'll put in the work. She'll come back. And then in the women's mile, Riley Schlosser was hands down, I don't know exactly how much she PR'd by, but I know she had a huge mile PR.
Yeah, she's been having a very good year with cross as well.
She's new to the program. She transferred here this fall. I know in cross country she dropped her 5K time about, I think, 4 minutes.
I think so, yeah.
From last year. Yeah, about 4 minutes, which is great. Women's 3K, basically it was all Susquehanna 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Juliana Sowiczinski, I think that's how you say it. She led the way. She's just a sophomore. A lot of young women running that race.
Yep.
With, I guess it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 7 were all juniors or younger. And then we'll move on to the hurdles. We've got new faces in the 60 hurdles this year.
Yep.
Alyssa and Evelyn, why don't you tell us about their races?
I was very, very pleased with them. They ran pretty decent times, all things considered. They were both two that they were definitely feeling the nerves leading up to the meet. So having conversations with them, trying to get them prepared from a mental standpoint. But they ran very well. Both of them had pretty good PRs. Alyssa had almost half a second PR coming out of high school, which is impressive because she transferred to us and she didn't compete in track her freshman year. So that was very good to see. And then Evelyn dropped like almost 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds off of her 60 hurdle time. So I was
incredible.
Very proud to see how they handled themselves, knowing how nervous they were going into the meet.
I believe Alyssa is a freshman. I think she only went to her other school for 1 semester.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't believe she was. I don't think she had the opportunity to compete there.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but I believe she transferred here the second semester. Now we get into the field events. High jump, we mentioned Charlotte came back. She made some attempts at her personal best again. The throws. Now, I wish we had Showstead here. We've got a lot of female throwers. I'm going to count them for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 girls competed in the shot put on Sunday. And I know that we definitely had a few personal bests. I know Bella Dauberman, she did take the overall win with 11.04 meters. Kira wasn't far behind in third with 10.66. I think Abby had a decent PR in the shot put. And then we've had a few newcomers with Ava, Ross, Brooke, and Danny, in the shot put. So some great performances there. Weight throw, more of the same. Bella also won that event. 13.76 was her throw. But probably the bright spot of throws was Kira. I think she PR'd by almost a meter in the weight throw, which was outstanding. She took second overall. And then again, Abby took fourth. First year, Danny Phillips, she took fifth. And then Rebecca was sixth, and Paulina was seventh. And another first year, Ava Ross was eighth. And I believe Ava Lathers also got a personal best. So the throws I know did really well. Again, I wish Coach Showstead was here because he knows all that stuff. And I don't know everybody's PR. I'm usually pretty good with it.
There's a lot of them.
Yes. So let's move on to the men. All right. We already discussed the men's, the multi there. So let's talk a little bit about, we'll start with the men's sprints.
We've got a very strong group of guys. We're missing some of our top guys with, going, studying abroad. But the guys we were here had some great performances. With the 60 leading off, Austin and Owen had some very good times. Owen, he was almost a 0.3 of a second PR. He was like a 7.3 out of high school. Actually ran it here when he was a senior. Almost broke 7. He was 7.08, tied Austin 7.08. So that was very good performances from the 60. And we had a couple of our younger guys, definitely still working on some stuff, little beat up. I know the times weren't quite what they were hoping for, but, me being a coach, everything's a process. So, I know those guys are going to be ready to go when we need them to.
Yep. 200, Owen came back. He actually, funny story, I was standing on the line helping with clerking and blocks for the first few heats of the men's 200, and Austin and Jordan were actually in the fast heat.
Yep.
I'll be honest, they didn't have the best race, for them. I think.
A little too comfortable.
Correct. They needed to push themselves a little bit more, and then they came across the line, and I said that. I said, it was okay. And then I immediately said, Owen's going to beat both of you right now.
Yep.
And I predicted that he was going to run at 23.1. What did I say? I think I said 23.1 or 23.2 is what I think I said. And he ran a 23.23.
Yep.
So I was very close. And Owen did end up winning that. We actually, as a program, went 1, 2, 3 for the meet, which is great. Didn't have a lot of people. We didn't have anyone in the 4 this week.
No, the only kid that we had, Henry, he was dealing with a little hamstring issue. So we decided to play it safe, make sure that he was healthy for when we need him to be ready and to run some fast times.
Yeah, we had a few of those in other events as well.
Yeah.
Just better safe than sorry. The December meet really doesn't mean a whole lot other than it's kind of a good barometer to see where you're at.
Yeah.
The 800, we had one athlete. I thought Aaron ran really well. He's been training pretty much solo.
Yes, it's tough.
This whole fall. He's been on a little bit of a modified training program where he's doing the sprints and jumps lift, but adding in mileage and then doing some workouts with the sprinters.
Yep.
And that's hard to do,
Yeah, it's
especially
tough.
when you go out on those the longer-ish runs, But he did a good job. He opened the season up with 2:03, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's about a second faster than he ran at this point last year, so he's in a pretty good spot.
At this point last year, he didn't run in this meet last year. 2:04. It's much faster than what 2:03. He ran outdoor. Oh, that's tune-up. So 2:03 is what he ended the year at last year. Almost it is the exact same time.
That's weird.
2:03.10 February 21st last year, and he went 2:03.19. So very close, but that's good.
Yes.
That's what we want to see. We want to see them opening where they left off.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is exciting. And then we had a whole bunch of people in the men's mile. Bunch of first years, 1, 2, 3, 4 first years. I know Junior James Dell had a huge, I think it was a full minute PR in the mile, which is outstanding. You know, he's continued his progress from cross that he's, he dropped almost 4 minutes in cross as well, 5 minutes. If you can't tell, he's sitting right there. So he's giving me little hints as we get through this. But he did really well. Really excited for first year Sam Borge. He got out hard, ran the race really, really well. He ended up coming in second to his teammate Andrew, but big bright spot for him is he ran the 1500 indoor.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, 1500 indoor for high school. Obviously, that's 100 meters short, and he did it then indoor. He ran faster this weekend in the mile than he did his indoor 1500 last year.
That's awesome.
Which is really exciting for him.
Yes.
Great kid. Always shows up. It's funny to be around, even if he is a Patriots fan. I still really enjoy being around him. So really happy for him, and a lot of great performances there across the board. 3K, Derek Blair ran really well. 8:49.40. I'm pretty confident that's in the top 10. I'm not exactly sure where that is in the top 10.
It should be.
I won't take time to look it up, but he ran well. You know, he pretty much had to run it by himself. I really liked Tommy McGann and Hunter. They really worked well during the 3K.
Yeah, they pushed each other a lot. That was really good to see.
Yeah, great effort through that race, competing. And then Joseph and Ethan, same thing. You know, Ethan had to take a lot of time off in the fall due to some injuries, and he's worked his way back in, and he's really doing well. And Joseph just continues to work hard and, and impress us every day. So really happy with that men distance squad. And then we move on to probably the highlight of the meet in the men's 60 hurdles. Yeah,
that was always a special one. We've had a very storied history of having some very good high hurdlers. Calder Jackie Tay actually was able to break the school record this weekend in his first competition, which was very, very good for him. He was very happy when he crossed that line and he saw the time. And it's really good to see because when we have one of those athletes that has that kind of standout performance, whether it's a record or a huge PR, you start to see their teammates, coming from all different corners, coming to congratulate them as they find out. So it was really good to see that, the Maltese, while they were still vaulting, they heard the time and they, were running over, congratulating him and everything. So that was really good to see. And then we had some other good performances. Carter didn't quite have the start he wanted to, kind of got put under pressure early. So, just some things to work on from his standpoint, but he's a senior. He knows what the expectation is. He knows what he needs to correct. So, that was a pretty easy conversation after that race.
To circle back to Calder's performance, that he ran 8:13.
Yep.
Which breaks the previous school record, 8:16, which was shared.
Correct.
Between a couple of our alumni. But that 8:13 at the time was tied for second in the country.
Correct.
I know I checked this morning. I think it's fifth. But to start off the season with such a high mark and not having finals, like we only ran one heat. We didn't run trials and finals this week. So what do you think his future looks like for the rest of the year?
I mean, don't want to jinx it, but with his potential, if he can stay healthy, there's not a doubt in my mind that he's going to break 8. And he's going to be one of the top hurdlers in the country. And when he came in, when he was a freshman, that was one of his goals, is he wanted to be, top of that podium, multi-time All-American, finalist, wanted to compete for a national title. And he's definitely putting himself in a position where he can go and reach that goal as long as he stays healthy and puts that work in.
Yep. So, great hurdles, really exciting to watch. Hurdles is always a bright spot for us. I know also most of our multis are our top hurdlers as well. So them doing the multi took them out. But a bright future for the indoor season for those guys. Moving on to field events, Austin Harrell in the long jump opened up the season with the 693, which at home is really good because we don't have a composite board. We just have, the painted rubber board or painted board that, doesn't give a lot of pop. So really happy with that. But Dietrich Moyer, he had a good PR as well in the long jump.
Yeah.
And Eli opened the year. He almost got over that 6 meter mark. I know Eli last year, this meet was tough because he pulled his hamstring.
Yeah.
He was out for multiple weeks. So it was nice to see him get through it, get some good jumps. He did well in the 60. And then Dietrich again in the triple. Dietrich ended up winning the triple jump with another PR of 13:19, which is great. And then back to throws, Cole Goodwin, he ended up, going 1-1 in the shot and in the weight throw. I know that he had a big PR in the shot put with his 15:19. I think last year was around like 15:03, 15:02, something like that. But a lot of throwers, we brought in a lot of first years this year. They've got to, kind of learn how to compete at the collegiate level.
Correct.
You know, they opened the day with weight throw. I know Carter Reed, we recruited him as a weight thrower coming from New York where they actually throw it at the championships up there. Chris Barone, same thing. So Brady, just looking at all the freshmen of our throwers, we had 4 freshmen place in the top 8 this weekend. And then another 3 were in the top 12. So that's very exciting, and we also have a couple of throwers, very good throwers that are still playing football.
Yep.
Football's been doing really well. They just moved on to the I guess we'll call it the Elite 8, playing Johns Hopkins this weekend. So we're excited to get, Tristan and Kieran when they're able to in January, but hopefully we don't get them till after,
hopefully not too soon.
I think January 4th is the national championship, so hopefully it's after that we get them back. And then to finish up the heptathlon, Rowan Smith missed his PR by about 150 points or so. Definitely got to do some speed work. He did a good job of staying consistent with his events, but you can tell that we haven't been working speed with him. So we'll, February, January, we'll start working on that a lot more. But really excited for this group of first years. Jaden Candelaria, we knew he could be a bright multi. Still has a lot to learn with the pole vault and the high jump and the long jump, and he's learning a lot of the events. Throws too. But he scored over 4,000 points. That's a big deal. The AARTFC qualifying mark is 3,900. This year, the Atlantic Region Championships are at the Armory, which is a great place to compete.
Yes, it is.
So that's exciting for him to hit that mark. And not far behind him is Liam Messina. Liam ended up finishing with 37.75, so only about 125 points off that qualifying mark. And he's just figuring out how to pole vault too. I think a lot of them left a lot out there in the 1,000.
I agree.
I know Liam was quite sick when he showed up Sunday morning. But the fight and the competitiveness in our first years, not just in the multi, but across the board, is awesome. We got some dogs out there, and it's really exciting to see them want to get after it and want to compete, no matter if they're sick or not. So overall, we think it was a great first meet. Obviously, one school record, a ton of PRs, a good amount of Atlantic regional qualifiers, and I think we've currently got, I think it was like 5 or 6 people ranked in the top 30 nationally.
Yeah, it's got to be around there.
Which is good. So now we shift into Christmas mode, right? The athletes are currently finishing up finals. We are not officially practicing this week. What do you expect them to do while they're home for the next 2 weeks?
I hope something.
3 weeks, 2 weeks? So they come back January 2nd.
Yeah. That's always, kind of tough. You never know what they're going to have access to, what they're going to do. You send out training and hope that they hit everything they need to as much as they can so they don't lose everything, because you're going to lose a lot if you don't do anything over those couple weeks, which we've had issues with in the past. And then that first week or two of practice in January is rough. So hopefully they can get their training in, and, we can modify anything that we need to, if they don't have a track or anything like that, they can get their training in still. And
yeah, I know for me, I just need them doing something. It's very easy. A lot of people travel over the holidays, depending on where you are. There could be snow. Like it's very inconsistent. And also what you eat on the holidays isn't always ideal either.
Yes,
so
it is.
If you can hear me and you're watching this and you're one of my athletes, do something. Get up, go for a run, go ride a bike, go jog in your basement in place, do something. Because it's really important. You'll lose it a lot faster than you think. But we'll be back here pretty quickly. You know, we're going to have the athletes come back January 2nd. We host that PHAC invite on Saturday, January 3rd, and then we get right to work. You know, we'll have a couple weeks before our next meet, which is going to be Saturday, January 17th. Another good opportunity. I think we've got about 8 schools on the list to come to that. But ultimately, you know, we just gotta take some time to rest, recover, and then get back to work here in a week or so, and then come back ready to rip January 2nd.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get that time to recover, rest up a little bit, and be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to do it for us. I think, you know, we've done a good job of recapping the weekend.
Yep.
Excited to see where this group goes. I know we've had a great few years. I don't know. Last year was one of the best years of my career from a coaching standpoint. But it's been a good start.
I agree.
It was a long fall. It was capped off with a great first meet, and I'm really excited. You know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Coach Weir.
Yeah, absolutely.
On this Susquehanna JT Exchange podcast, and hopefully we'll be back every week. We'll do some special segments here and there with Meet the Coach, and we might do some race breakdowns and alumni spotlights and different things throughout the year. So like and subscribe. I think I'm supposed to say that. We'll be on YouTube. Susquehanna XCTF. And thank you guys. Have a great day.